Welcome to the Handcrafted Podcast, the business of making things. I'm Paul, founder of Philadelphia Table Company and the Handcrafted Network, and I believe great craftsmanship deserves great business strategy. This podcast is for makers who want to build not just great products, but a thriving business. Each episode will dive into the mindset, systems, and skills that turn craft into success. All right, so topic today is going to be, selling. So one of the things that I think we tend to forget as makers is the importance of selling and the importance of having a daily practice of getting sales. I've seen a lot of people, especially those who are trying to start their business. Let's take a metaphorical train in a station, right? So picture the life of a business having a train on a train track with a very, very slow, very gentle downhill with a big golden city at the end. I don't know. Picture Oz or something, right? What I see a lot of people doing is polishing and cleaning up the train, doing things like making an amazing website, making the office look nice, building really incredible pieces, or taking really incredible pictures of things, or focusing on, spending too much time on a logo and branding and all that sort of stuff. And all of those things, yes, they are very important. But at the end of the day, it's the train's not going to leave the station unless you forcibly push it out of the station. And the only way you're going to get from the train leaving the station to the Golden City is through sales. And unfortunately, us as makers tend to overlook that and forget. We spend so much of our time making things. We spend so much of our time locked up in, different shops, getting dusty and working, because that's really where our passion is. Our passion isn't selling the things. But the thing that's going to allow you to continue to pursue this or continue to build a business or grow a business is to have sales. And one of the early practices that I began doing was trying to find a way and actually taking time to sit down and think about, where am I going to get sales? How am I going to find these people? Yes, of course, you could run Facebook ads or Google ads and all that sort of stuff. And that's all part of it. If you are to a point where you can afford to run ads, or you have a company that's set up and established and ready to go, of course, ads are great. But ads are only a part of it's only a part of the marketing strategy. If you become 90%, 95% reliant on ads, if ads go away, you're kind of toast. And it also means that the business itself isn't really propelling itself forward. The ultimate goal is to have a rabid client base of referrals and people kind of sharing and word of mouth type things. But anyways, so when you're doing sales, again, I think everyone forgets this. Like, you need to sit down and figure out, where are you going to find your sales. Jerry Seinfeld talks about how he is a comedian, and he doesn't believe in writer's block, because he sits every day for whatever his time period is, maybe an hour or 2 hours, and says, hey, I need to write a joke today, or I need to write. Even if he sits there and the paper in front of him is completely empty, he still sits and does it. It's a daily practice. So what I'm urging all of you to do is to, almost the same amount of time that it's taking for you to like craft something or make something, is to actually sit and spend time, figure out, how are you going to sell this thing? Taking an hour, what I used to do, remember, is when I was first starting, and I still do this today, first thing I always say, sales first. So before I sit down and do anything else throughout the day, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I open my email and try to find sales or answer sales emails, because cash really is the lifeblood of the business. It's what's going to allow you to continue to do what you're doing. It's going to allow you to get rent. It's going to allow you to pay your rent. It's going to allow you to hire people. And it's just going to allow you to continue to do what you're really good at, which is making things. So sales really is a practice. And to me, one thing that was really helpful for me, and I think that's something that really accelerated my growth, I remember I was sitting around 750,000 and I was like, hey, how do I just break through this barrier? I just wanted to hit a million so bad. So what I did was I would sit down regularly, daily in the morning, and I would say, okay, how do I close a deal today? And literally sit there. Sometimes it was a day that was not fruitful. I would sit there and think, and nothing would come out. Other days it would be come up with a great idea. So some of the ideas that I had come up with, because I knew that every single day I wanted to close something or at least bring in some sort of a lead or a deal or something. Because I didn't want to spend money on ads yet. I didn't have an established brand. I didn't have an established company. I didn't have the ability to fulfill the leads that came in, all that stuff. So I was like, hey, I got to get the train moving somehow. One of the things that I used to do, actually, I used to live in South Philadelphia, is I would walk around the block, the neighborhood, as part of, my morning walk, and I would look for rent signs that were up on corner places or places that looked like, they would be kind of cool cafe type things. So I would see the rent up, and then I would see the rent sign go down. So I'd go, okay, so somebody just rented this space and it's in this, district where they're always doing coffee shops and restaurants. So what I would do is then I would try to figure out who it was that rented the shop, whether that be calling the person the number that was on the rental or continually walking past it until I see people like moving in or moving around. Sometimes you could look on business journals to see who's moving in. So what happened was like slowly I would get a contact list of different coffee shops or restaurants, all that stuff that were starting to open. I would reach out and say, hey, do you guys need any tables? Do you need any custom furniture work? Anything like that. So what happened was one thing led to the next, and slowly we were being introduced to other designers and bigger companies. And some of those small coffee shops have now turned into big national brands that continue to help us out. And that's just like a little metaphorical story of what you can do. And that's on the commercial side. So it's like thinking about what are the things you could do on the residential side? Like how are you going to get those sales? And one of the things I've told many people, especially when you're getting started, is to like wear like the metaphorical open for business sign. So that might mean like, you're at a kid's soccer game, you're out with friends or something, and it's like presenting yourself in a way that says, "Hey, I'm open for business. I'm here to work. I'm here to make something for you or your friends." And I'm not saying like go around and like be, corny about it, but present yourself in a way that makes sense. When the conversation comes up, be like, "Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm making a coffee table for my house or for a neighbor or for a friend." And what happens is that slowly starts to build the network effect that really starts to build what how you're going to get those clients. It's going to turn into, I call it onesie twosie sales, where somebody might be like, yeah, you know what, I don't really need a coffee table, but my mom does, or I think a friend down the street is just moving in. The other thing too is like when you're just getting started as well is like finding ways to connect with people within the local community. So whether that be connecting, when do people, for me, it's furniture. So when do people buy furniture? It's, when people are moving into their house, try to find realtors to connect with, see if there's ways that you can talk to people that are moving into new neighborhoods. And the other part of it too is I used to comb through business journals, like I said, see what businesses were opening or what areas were getting properly developed, and slowly work through it that way. And I know it's hard and it feels like a slog, but I think taking the time to really sit and think about, think about how much time you spend, learning how to make something, whatever your craft is. If you could spend that same amount of time practicing sales or practicing how to close sales or how to get sales or how to get leads, your business is going to go phenomenally further, right? Your business is not going to go, just for the woodworkers out there, your business is not going to accelerate and grow because you make a really good dovetail joint. Yes, that's going to help, and that's going to make it so, you maybe get better referrals, and you start to get some other clients. But what's really going to propel your business forward is sales. I'm sure we've all been there where it's like, how is this guy in business? His product is complete crap. And honestly, the truth is they're probably really good at sales. And to me, sales felt like such a yucky word. I always hated thinking of sales. And as a salesperson, you envision like the used car salesperson or somebody peddling something, but I've actually really come to love selling. For me, selling is a big part of it is like connecting with people, meeting new people, learning, ways to connect. And, when you're selling something you really believe in, there's nothing easier. It's really great because you can talk to them about a product that you really believe in, and most of the time they genuinely can, they take you genuinely, and the deal goes a lot better. The other thing I used to do too, for sales was I would invite people over to my workshop wherever it was. Even if it was, in your garage or something like that, is I would invite people over for a tour or show them things that we were working on, which was all really great ways. So it might be people who didn't need something now, but maybe need something later. So all of that stuff is super, super helpful. And just a quick, a few tips of things that are really helpful for kind of sales conversations. And I see a lot of people make these mistakes. For me, one of the tricks that I've learned was to listen more than you talk. A lot of times when you're doing sales, people who are coming to purchase things just want to be heard. So a lot of times I'm asking more questions and letting them talk more than myself. And then when the time obviously presents itself for you to present your pitch, you've already been filled in on all the needs of why they're coming to you, what they're looking for, what they're hoping to get out of the conversation. So it really helps guide the conversation. So from the jump, right from the beginning, I'm always asking them questions and feeding it for information that I can then use to help further close the deal. And also talking about, personal things with people too, where they live, where do they come from, that kind of stuff. And finding ways to relate to them is really always helpful. And people really want to feel comforted like that, when they're coming and buying something that's custom made or something that's crafted specifically for them. But I'll do a whole other podcast episode on sales strategies and how to close deals and all that sort of stuff. But for this one, the main takeaway for this one is I really want you to focus on doing sales in general. Like I said, we all focus on our craft. We all focus on making amazing things. But the other part of it is we need to focus on selling amazing things. So do not forget that sales are just as important as anything else. And going back to the train, you have to get the train out of the station to get to that golden city. Stop wasting time, mulling over things that don't matter. You need to get your first sales in the door first. Once you start getting your first sales, you know that it's a viable business. You can start moving forward. Then you start going back, start focusing a little bit more on the branding, start focusing a little bit more on the website. As far as websites go, you can always make a very, very basic one. Could even be as simple as your photo with a button that just says contact us to work with us. I've seen those actually do very well. So don't spend a ton of time on that upfront stuff. Really spend the time going out and getting sales. All right, guys, catch you next time.